Okay, can you tell us your name and tell us where you go to school and what you study?
My name is Cedric. My school is, I studied in Higher Institute of Agriculture and Animal Husbandry. Uh, I went there from 2009. Now I'm fourth year. I'm doing soil and water management in the Faculty of Agriculture Engineering and Environmental Sciences.
One final question for you.
Uh-huh.
What's your dream job?
My dream job, my dream job is to develop and expand agriculture here in Rwanda, because our agriculture is the still in traditional practices. I want to introduce new techniques of agriculture, because here in Rwanda the nutrition is very low. So they want someone to introduce new technologies and to increase the living styles or nutrition style. I want to go deep and do something special in agriculture.
You are currently well-known person all over the world as a person who introduced quinoa in Rwanda.
To make an impact, it is not what is in your pocket that matters. It is what is in your heart that truly matters. Being happy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It means that you choose to look beyond the imperfection and you turn challenges into opportunities.
Welcome to the SDGs Lead, a series of conversations with prominent SDGs changemakers worldwide. We believe that the best way of learning from each other is through sharing stories. Today, I will talk with Dr. Cedric Habiyaremye from Rwanda, entrepreneur, crop scientist, and researcher at Washington State University. We will particularly discuss the topic of the goal number 2, which is zero hunger. Cedric, thank you so much for finding time, joining, and this opportunity to talk.
Thank you for having me, Karina. It's a pleasure.
Cedric, would you please share your story? I know that you and your family have come through very unprecedentedly hard time of genocide in Rwanda 1994. How were your change-making spirit formed, and how old were you at the time? Just to give us a little understanding of how have you begun your path.
So I was 7 years at that time when the genocide against Tutsis in Rwanda happened, and then that forced my family and other Rwandese to flee the country, and we became refugees. And in a refugee camp, we lived in Tanzania for 3 years, and life in a refugee camp, it was not life; it was like a survival. There are a lot of people dying from disease, hunger, poor sanitation, and finding food was really hard because we would go sometimes 2 or 3 days with nothing to eat at all, only drinking water from the swamps. But luckily, the United Nations World Food Program started providing food assistance that kept us, moving forward, and we survived. And later on, we returned to Rwanda, thinking things are better, but it was still not stable. And hunger, starvation, and malnutrition continued to the point that, you get to a level of hopelessness and despair. Like you would live the present moment, which was abstract, and you don't know if there is hope for the future. I think my mother saw that we were so desperate, and she called me and my brother, say, I see some potential in you. You are the future of this country, and you can do something big. But the only thing to become who you want to become and make an impact is to go to school and study. That's how I cracked the Journal of Agriculture, to find the ways that solutions so that people, my fellow Rwandans or Africans, won't experience hunger and starvation that I experienced in my childhood. Yeah.
I
But
wonder whether
it
you
wasn't
could
easy.
go
Yeah.
somehow deeper into what you were saying to yourself at this toughest moment to pull yourself up and survive, like to motivate your mind to resist these very dramatic out circumstances.
It was not easy because I'm not going to like that time I will be like, okay, I want to die too because there is no need. Why am I existing? Because life start having no meaning. But something that I would tell myself that kept me moving was like, my dream is my life is maybe a dream of someone else. You know, living thinking that maybe I'm experiencing this worst situation, but there are people who are experiencing the worst, you know, always assuming that there's somebody, you know, thinking they have at least the life I have. But again, reflecting on people who left us for good, who died through the genocide and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, if they were alive, if they wish to be alive, and I'm lucky I'm still alive, so there's no need to, I don't have, there's no need to complain or take my life for granted. It was hard, so that's what I would pray that in my head anytime I feel like I want to give up on life. But one other thing that kept me moving was that when I was 6 years old, I remember my dad was a businessman. He would go places, and then when he comes home, I'm the youngest of the family. Of course, I was spoiled, and he would put me in his shoulders. And one day he told me, I think Daddy is happy. I was like, yeah, Daddy is happy because he's hanging out with his boy. And then he said, he put me down and he kneeled, you know, to get on my level and talked to me, looked in my eyes and said, yeah, Daddy is happy. But being happy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It means that you choose to look beyond the imperfection and you turn challenges into opportunities. That had played a big role in overcoming those obstacles. I would always find something positive to look at and hold on to that, so to navigate those tough situations. So, yeah.
And then you started to find in some solutions, thinking
Mm-hmm.
of the idea of how to change this situation. You are currently a well-known person all over the world as a person who introduced quinoa in Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
How quinoa can help combat hunger and how the whole process works. You're currently making a research also on this
Yeah.
topic.
So what happened? Like I pursued education and then dedicated to follow agriculture, and then I came to realize that like hunger and malnutrition and starvation are not happening because people are not farming enough, but it was because they're not farming the right crops. And then I get to learn about quinoa for the very first time in 2012 when I was working with a Canadian organization called Building a Bridge with Rwanda, and we worked with the Washington State University during the internship. So we had students coming in Rwanda, and the woman who was the dean of College of Agriculture, she and her friend, they taught me. They told me about quinoa because there's a program I started. They said, do you know the crop called quinoa? I had no idea what that was, and then I started reading. They say it can be a great addition to this program we started, and I learned about it and. They offered me a scholarship to come to study in Washington State University to do a master's in crop science. And then I came to learn about quinoa and its potential because it addresses both short and long-term food security. Because family can eat the leaves while they wait to harvest the grains. And both leaves and grains are nutritious. And this helps them benefiting from a complete source of protein and the rich area of micronutrient concentration. And then the crop itself is easy to grow and it's climate resilient, so it doesn't rely on heavy input. So this makes it for farmers to to benefit from the agriculture, but also to have access to nutritious food without going shopping far away. And I believe that agricultural policy investment and must expand and focus on nutritious crop. And most of them some of them are indigenous to Africa. But they have received less research attention. And I believe that we can create a system where food, nutritious food, are available for everyone. And I believe that quinoa can play this role and other crops in this category. And it's not just quinoa, there are many other crops that have same characteristics.
And you've started within your own community, like family, and I know that your mother was also sharing some seeds with other people. They were inspired by this unusual flower, unusual kind of plant, and then it was like spreading all over the country, all over the community. So this process also started from small steps, and then it turned bigger.
Yeah, I believe that I like quotes. There's a quote that always inspires me. I believe that to make an impact, it is not what is in your pocket that matters. It is what is in your heart that truly matters. So when we started this quinoa program, it was basically, I can say that was a bigger fundings and support. Some was small and some had to do with from my my assistantship as a student, putting money aside and supported the program. And then we introduced it in Rwanda through even the support from the Bulldog Leadership Enhancement in Agriculture and the Washington State University. We were doing research to test how they will grow there. We tested 20 varieties and identifying the one that will do best there. And it was interesting because among the 20 varieties, we found 15 that can do well in those different regions of Rwanda. And then the question was about the adoption, because there was a new crop, nobody knew about it. And then that's when my mother, I would say, is my biggest cheerleader of all the time. She jumped in and she started giving seeds to her community, around the community, and they start growing. We developed a program called the Model Farmers Program. And then now the Model Farmers Program we started in 2017. And now we have around 500 farmers who are growing it. And they're eating it, they're enjoying it, they love that they can eat the leaves, they can't go hungry. Like we received some success stories that now I can't go hungry if I have quinoa in the field, because I can go snap leaves and make a soup or a salad and I have something to eat. But other crops, you have to wait until the full cycle to get something to eat. So that's why I come back to the level of saying that it provides immediate and long-term food security. So the adoption was very surprising, because I was concerned about how they're going to take it. And now the farmers are actually the best advocates. They are indicating their peers, and we are giving them seeds, and it's taking over. It was a success.
Wow, it's just amazing how the good product, the good solution serves for itself, both from the marketing side, like it was word of mouth advertising, so the whole community got to know about this wonderful solution and wonderful gift from this planet, from this nature. How would you describe the current situation with food security in Africa? As I know, during the pandemics, approximately 20 million of people in the East Africa were just stunning. And what are the impacts of pandemics on this quite unstable situation even before?
There is a big gap that exists and still exists in the farming systems in Africa. And one, I can name like four big ones, or we call the big fours. There is I think, yeah, big fours. Yeah, there is a lack of access to infrastructure and lack of access to technology and lack of access to financial services to smallholder farmers and the lack of access to the market. We need to look, I feel like we need to look at long-term impact and establish a system that helps farmers have access to market and make the product available to the market, because it's not easy when you look in the situation. COVID, when it comes in, the challenge then it was exacerbated. There is no access to the market because people don't have capital to purchase the product, and the pandemic has evolved into a food crisis for vulnerable people, not just in Africa, but in many countries around the world. But if we speak mostly in Africa, is like many who work in agriculture space, they don't have access to market, like I said, that will allow them to sell the food. Many people in urban area don't have access to market to purchase food because the restrictions of the lockdown, and there is like effect on supply and the demand. If I break it down, maybe to make it very concise, is that some farmers cannot get access to input they need to continue farming because they can't travel, or only unless they have their own ways of transportation, which is unlikely in the case of many farmers in Africa. Smallholder farmers cannot have a car, a motorcycle of their own. Few can, but it's not that affordable. And some places, farm production has stopped, and other places where it is produced cannot reach the market. So it has exacerbated the challenge for many people. And those who had income, they lost their jobs. They don't have the capability to feed their families. And we need to keep in mind that in Africa, millions of people can only eat if they earn a wage. And relatively few people in Africa can work from home. So a lot of people lost their job. And I believe that what needs to be done is that a collective action that can mitigate the impact of foods. And we need to have like food assistance program that should be in place and be maintained. And I think like I can call it like 5 actions that may be needed are maintaining an open trade, keep the supply of the food flowing across the continent and the world, as well as ensure access to nutritious and affordable food for all through food assistance, for example, in these times of crisis, and also food price control, because sometimes they get expensive, people cannot afford it. And I think also make agriculture as an essential function, anybody who works in agriculture. In Rwanda, they've done that, and actually another important thing is to create a social protection fund. In many countries, I know in Rwanda they have started putting in place a social protection fund that will support, people who are hardly impacted. However, this is not enough for the long term, because I believe that we need to fix our food system to withstand future disaster. That means investing in sustainable, resilient food system. This to happen, food security during the pandemic and post-pandemic must be viewed through the lenses of public health and nutrition rather than producing more calories.
So here we shall speak about other aspects such as decrease in poverty, such as increase in education level, providing more innovation, infrastructure solutions, and also peace, justice, strong institutions. But what, in your opinion, are most close goals to zero hunger? So there are some goals that we can target, and then we will have a significant improvement with this second goal.
If I go to the second, the closest SDGs that are related to zero hunger. Sorry. First of all, I want to mention that you cannot achieve any SDG or sustainable development goals if people are hungry and malnourished. You cannot eradicate poverty or achieve equality, education, or decent work and economic growth if people are hungry and malnourished. So I believe that we need to transform the food system for delivering all sustainable development goals. This means there is a need for commitment to make the health of our food system a central pillar of the development efforts. It all starts with food, not just any food, but healthy food, making them available and affordable for everyone. And because a healthy population, they are capable of doing everything, and you can be healthy if you are not fed well, if you don't have access to the right food. And then that comes back to your question on what are the closest sustainable development goals related to zero hunger. I think the closest one that should be paid attention on, we should pay attention on, are sustainable development goals number 3, good health and well-being. I putting the health of people ahead of everything. And then sustainable development goals number 6, which is clean water and sanitation. And those, when those are completely addressed, I'm sure they will play a vital role in the realization in achieving the rest of other goals.
So there is like triple helix of water, sanitation, good health, and combating hunger. This triple helix should be the basic pillar of reaching all other goals in a comprehensive manner and more sustained also. What is the role of youth here, as you started your path quite at the young age, and then there are many people very active and promoting sustainable development goals in Africa. What should the young people do to intensify this process and to give this fresh air with new ideas, with new vision to the public, so all other levels would also follow their example?
I think the potential of African youth is infinite, and they have the potential to make the change through creativity, innovation, and technology that can tackle the issues that exist in the whole agricultural value chain. Their role is not necessary to go in the field and take the hoe and cultivate. It can be through developing new technologies that can make farming easy and profitable, and also because to achieve this zero hunger and malnutrition free Africa, we need more youth involvement right now than before, because I believe that there is no movement that has ever failed when it was led by youth. But for this to happen, 4 things are needed to inspire our fellow young African to take up agriculture and enable their success. The celebration of agriculture entrepreneurs, improved youth access to information and practical trainings, which involved also capacity building, improved access to technology for them. But most importantly, youth can do anything if they don't have access to financial services that will allow them to be able to put their ideas into action or bring their ideas to fruition. So they need societal support and government support, and policymakers should put that ahead, because youth are capable if they are empowered.
And on the other hand, youth is very promising investment because the input invested of resources in the development of young people also provides very tangible results, not even in the long-term future, but quite immediate, as young people have already very bright ideas. Cedric, thank you so much for this chance, for your quite clear message and step-by-step approach that we should take in terms of real solutions, very practical ones that I hope will be also followed in other countries. And finally, the last but not the least, evidently, what would be your message for our viewers as well as change makers worldwide to inspire them to promote zero hunger goal and to start acting regardless of any outer circumstances?
My message will be that we must change our views on agriculture. Agriculture is not a development activity or a social cause. Agriculture is a lucrative business. And farmers are not the cause of poverty, they are actually the solution. And I think it's time we change the way we think. Youth need the society's full support to enter agriculture, and farmers need to be respected. Their profession is crucial for, to every individual on the continent today or for decades to come. And most importantly, we must not use agriculture to manage poverty. We must use agriculture to create wealth. And with that in mind, we can achieve a zero hunger and malnutrition-free Africa and the world, actually.
Wonderful message. Thank you so much for it. So focusing on agriculture gives us hope that we can reach all sustainable development goals. So the farmers would be not only producers, innovators of the solutions, but also the central focus of the policies on all the levels. Thank you so much for this opportunity and this wonderful conversation. All the best with your wonderful projects and research. Hope to continue cooperating and communicating.
Thank you, Karen. It's a pleasure.